Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Ron, and thank you for stopping by. On this channel, we do a lot of drone-related content, tutorials, videos, drone-related news, as well as other tech-related videos. Today, I wanted to discuss the leaked photos showing up on the internet and what appears to be DJI's latest consumer product, the DJI Mavic Mini. This brings me to the newest segment called Drone-Worthy News. The original leaked photos of this drone came out nearly 2 months ago, but with yesterday's FCC filing, it appears this drone is still moving forward and could be released later this year. Initial rumors had this drone weighing in around 245 grams, putting it right below the 0.55 pound weight limit. If you live in the US like I do, then you know anything above 0.55 pounds or 250 grams would require you to register the drone with the FAA. If this drone comes in under 250 grams, as expected, then that registration is not going to be required, and other countries have more relaxed regulations as well for drones under 250 grams. Now, you're still not going to be able to legally fly over people without something like an FAA waiver or be exempt from many of the laws that exist for other drones, but it could certainly appeal to many people knowing that they don't need to register their drone with the FAA if you're here in the US. Now, this drone does appear to be very small in structure, smaller than the Spark from these pictures, and based on the wall plugs next to it, I took the standard wall plug of my own and put it next to my Mavic Air for comparison, and this drone looks much smaller than my Mavic Air. I tried to sync up the wall plug to get it fairly even as far as a comparison. Now, even with the USB cable next to this, it makes me believe that Mavic Mini will be under 250 grams. Now, I was able to dig up a few rumored specs on this drone and compare those against the Spark and the Mavic Air as shown here. Again, these are all rumored specs and subject to change, but I think it will give you an idea of what we're talking about and what we can expect to see from DJI later this year. Now, the actual specs on the internet seem to vary slightly, so take the specifics with a grain of salt. Again, any of this could change, but based on rumors I've seen historically, I think we're in the ballpark for these specs. From what's rumored to date, this drone will have a remote controller. The flight time is expected to be around 15 minutes of actual flight time. Based upon the pictures leaked, we can see multiple sensors on this drone, so it will have object avoidance. We can only assume it will have an upgraded gimbal, better picture quality, and a nicer CMOS sensor than its predecessor, the Spark. There are some additional rumored specs out there on the internet, but I think DJI is probably still finalizing the final product, so I'm not going to speculate too much on those. It's also worth noting that the DJI Spark is no longer being sold on the DJI store. I've taken a look earlier and it's completely gone, but the accessories and things like that are still on the site. Just the Spark itself is no longer being sold. I think we can expect this drone to launch around the holidays, perhaps Christmas, and be more of a DJI Spark replacement than a Mavic Air replacement. Now, it will be interesting to see if this drone gets released with OcuSync as well. That would certainly be nice. A little feature for any new drone DJI plans on releasing, though OcuSync would drive cost up, and I expect DJI will not include this feature with this drone. You can see from the photos that the arms and the props do fold in, which is a nice feature, and you didn't have this folding arm feature with the Spark. Having a smaller footprint for any drone makes it much easier to travel with, and it's certainly one of the biggest advantages you have with the Mavic Air, and one of the main reasons the Mavic Air is such a good travel drone. Now, we're calling this the Mavic Mini to date, but when DJI releases this drone, it could be called something different. This could be the Spark 2.0 that everyone keeps talking about, but it does have a greater resemblance to the Mavic series or the Mavic Air. So I think that Mavic name will stick, or some variation of Mavic will be the final product name. Now, looking at these leaked photos, you can clearly tell this is still a prototype. The colors of the drone are completely flat and generic, and I'm sure that the final product, when released, we're going to see a lot of the normal DJI colors like flat black or onyx black, red, white. I think when the final product's released, it'll match the color scheme of many of their existing product lines. And also looking at the photos, we have 2 sensors on the bottom and 2 on the front. I'm not seeing any sensors in the rear, but it would be nice if DJI included rear-facing sensors as well. Again, this appears to be a prototype, so perhaps we'll see those in the final product. But from these pictures, we're not seeing any rear-facing sensors. Again, I think this drone is going to be priced below the Mavic Air, but above the Spark, trying to hit that sweet spot for many consumers. The picture shown here also has a gimbal cover on it, so it's hard to tell what kind of gimbal we're going to have in the final product. It could be a 2-axis gimbal, but we're hoping for a 3-axis gimbal like the Mavic Air. I'll tell you, it looks like a nice little drone, but I've owned the Spark and I actually actively fly my Mavic Air, and I don't see this drone replacing my Mavic Air should it get released. However, if you're a new drone hobbyist, I think the Mavic Mini would make a nice first drone to own. I've also got my eye on the Skydio 2, scheduled for release Q2 of 2020. That's an updated release date, in case you weren't aware. So I don't think the Mavic Mini will be on my list of things to buy, but it will appeal to many consumers. If you got any value out of this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Don't forget you can follow me on Instagram, and please be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell for future notifications. And until next time, happy flying.